Picture this. You are walking alone along a narrow path in the rugged hills of Jevodon. The year is 1764, and twilight is falling faster than you expect. In your arms, you carry a bundle of firewood, the kindling your family needs to survive the night's cold. Behind you, silence stretches through the valleys, until it doesn't. A low growl drifts through the air. At first, you convince yourself it must be the wind. But then you hear it again. Heavier now. Paws striking the earth with purpose. Something is following you. You begin to run, heart hammering against your chest, but the thing in the shadows is faster. It bursts into view, an enormous beast with fur darker than night, jaws wide enough to shatter bone, eyes gleaming with hunger. It lunges. You scream, but the mountains devour the sound. By dawn, the villagers will find what remains of you, torn, unrecognizable, yet another victim. For 3 years, a predator stalked Jevodon. It killed with terrifying precision, targeting mostly women and children, sparing neither shepherdess nor farmer's son. It was not a legend, nor a story to frighten children. It was real. And it would leave behind over 100 bodies before its reign of terror ended. The Beast of Jevodon. 1764 to 1767. A nightmare made flesh. France in the mid-18th century was a nation on edge. Famine had left fields barren, poverty hung like a shadow over the countryside, and whispers of revolt simmered beneath the surface. Peasants struggled to survive, their lives ruled by harsh winters, failed harvests, and taxes that seemed to take more than the land could give. And then, when life was already cruel enough, came something worse. Something that preyed on them not through hunger or politics, but through flesh and blood. In the summer of 1764, reports began to spread of a mysterious predator in the remote province of Jevodon. At first, it was dismissed as wolves, common enough in rural France. But these attacks were different. Survivors spoke of a creature far larger, more powerful, more relentless than any wolf they had seen. It seemed almost supernatural in its cunning, striking swiftly, then vanishing into the wilderness as if mocking its pursuers. The first confirmed victim was a 14-year-old girl named Jean Valet. She was tending sheep when the beast struck. The villagers who found her body were horrified, her wounds unlike anything left by ordinary predators. Something had changed in Jevodon, and the people knew it. 1764, the first victim, Jean Valet. The terror spread quickly. Every week brought new victims. Women gathering berries. Children tending livestock. Men walking home at dusk. The beast struck without pattern, without mercy, always leaving behind mangled remains that filled villagers with dread. Descriptions varied, but a common image emerged, a creature larger than a wolf, with reddish fur, a massive head, and a tail strong enough to knock a grown man off balance. Witnesses swore it could leap extraordinary distances, shrugging off musket fire as though bullets could not touch it. Within months, Jevodon was paralyzed by fear. People stopped working their fields, stopped walking the roads, stopped living as they had for generations. Priests spoke of God's punishment, demons sent to scourge a sinful land. Hunters spoke of a mutant wolf, twisted by nature into something more. And peasants? They spoke simply of La Bête, the beast. The creature didn't just kill, it mutilated. Heads torn from bodies. Limbs scattered across fields. Children swallowed whole. These killings weren't just about hunger. They seemed calculated to terrorize, to spread fear like wildfire across the countryside. And it worked. Over 100 dead. Hundreds more scarred for life. By the end of 1764, the beast had claimed dozens of lives. Panic reached Versailles. Word of the killings had spread beyond the hills of Jevodon, carried on whispers and reports that captured the imagination of all of France. King Louis XV could not ignore it. If he could not protect even his poorest peasants from a wild animal, what did that say of his power? He dispatched royal hunters, armed with the best muskets and accompanied by dogs trained for war. But the beast outwitted them. Every hunt ended in failure. The predator seemed to vanish into the forests, reappearing days later to kill again. Villagers began to whisper that no ordinary animal could evade so many hunters. Perhaps it was a demon. Perhaps it was invincible. Perhaps it was sent by God Himself to punish the land. For the common people, survival meant desperate measures. Men carried scythes to the fields. Women refused to leave their homes. Children were kept inside, though even walls seemed too fragile to keep the beast away. The hunt was no longer just about killing an animal. It had become a battle for the soul of France. The years dragged on. From 1764 to 1767, the beast continued its reign of terror. Records estimate that between 100 and 120 people were killed, though the true number may have been higher. Eyewitnesses described horrifying scenes. Shepherdesses ripped apart in broad daylight. Young boys dragged screaming into the woods. Even grown men, armed and prepared, fell before its strength. And yet stories spread of those who survived. A young woman named Jean Valet became known as the Maiden of Jevodon. She fought back against the beast with a spear when it attacked her and her friends. Though she wounded it, the beast escaped, limping but alive. These rare victories gave hope to the people, but they also deepened the mystery. If the beast could be wounded, why did it never die? Why did it always return? To the villagers, each new attack felt like proof that this was no ordinary predator. It was something else. Something unnatural. The Maiden of Jevodon, the woman who fought the beast. The killings reached Paris, and soon the entire kingdom was obsessed. Newspapers printed every detail, sometimes exaggerated, sometimes invented, but always enough to feed the fear. In an age where communication was slow, the story of the beast traveled fast, becoming one of Europe's first true media frenzies. Every café in Paris buzzed with speculation. Every noble at Versailles whispered about the monster haunting the countryside. Theories multiplied. Some claimed it was a lion escaped from a noble's menagerie. Others said it was a wolf-dog hybrid. Some even suggested it was a punishment for France's sins, a divine scourge sent to humble a nation grown arrogant. And through it all, the beast kept killing. No amount of speculation, no royal decree, no heroic hunters seemed able to stop it. The people of Jevodon lived as though cursed, trapped in a nightmare that would not end. In June 1767, a local hunter named Jean Chastel finally brought down the creature. He shot it with a silver bullet, an act that would later fuel legends of werewolves and supernatural beasts. When the carcass was displayed, it looked like a massive wolf, larger than most, but still, just a wolf. Yet many villagers remained unconvinced. The killing stopped, yes, but was this really the same beast that had terrorized them for so long? Some whispered that the true beast had escaped, that what Chastel killed was only one of many. Others believed it had been a curse lifted only through faith and sacrifice. And some wondered if the beast had ever truly been an animal at all, or if it was something far darker, beyond human understanding. 1767, the beast falls, but the legend begins. Modern science offers explanations. Wolves were indeed numerous in France at the time, and hybrid animals, crossbreeds between wolves and dogs, may have produced an unusually large, aggressive predator. Rabies, starvation, or human error may explain why it killed so relentlessly. But science cannot explain the fear. The terror of Jevodon was more than an animal. It was the collapse of safety, the shattering of trust in the natural world. Even today, we see echoes of this fear. When modern societies face serial killers, pandemics, or unseen predators, the reaction is often the same. Panic spreads faster than truth. Myths grow around the unknown. And people, desperate for answers, turn to superstition and conspiracy. The beast of Jevodon was not just flesh and blood, it was a symbol. A reminder of how quickly terror can consume a society, how fear itself can become the most powerful predator of all. The story of the beast of Jevodon is more than a tale of horror, it is a mirror. It shows us how fragile our sense of safety truly is. For 3 years, an entire region lived in fear, their lives reshaped by an enemy they could not understand. Whether the beast was a wolf, a hybrid, Or something stranger, the scars it left were real. Scars in the land, in the people, and in the memory of France. We may never know the full truth. But perhaps that is what makes the story endure. In the unknown, legends are born. And legends, like beasts, have a way of living forever. Fear is the oldest monster of all.